It's no secret that Superman is arguably the most iconic superhero of all time, but the more popular the character, the more outlandish some opinions surrounding said character can be. In the case of Superman, he's been getting the short end of the stick for a while now from general audiences, even though he's very influential and iconic, not just in DC Comics but in the comic book genre as a whole. It seems as if he doesn't get the same love and following compared to the passion seen amongst the Batman and Spider-Man fans. A large part of this is the lack of proper depictions of Superman in live action and not getting nearly as many projects across different mediums compared to Batman. I mean, seriously, it's been over a decade since the last live action theatrical Superman movie, and there has not been a single modern AAA game in sight. It's a shame we don't often get adaptations of Superman akin to that of the early Christopher Reeve films or the DCEU, but there are a few outliers here and there. And with the lack of good Superman depictions exposed to the general public, there comes the downright atrocious takes on the character that would want any Superman fan to start throwing some hands, because the Superman slander is way too common nowadays.
It is a sickness of the highest order. It is deviant, therefore we don't want it.
Alright, let's just get the big elephant in the room out of the way. The whole Superman is a boring character and is too outdated to fit in modern storytelling. It's just an atrocious take through and through. There's no other way to put it. Many people accuse Superman's ideology to be too simple and how he lacks the complexity to tell meaningful, interesting stories around him in comparison to the character of, like, let's say Batman, for example. I feel like many people who share this mentality can't fathom a compelling Superman story if he doesn't have any in-your-face recognizable character flaws. Apparently Superman isn't relatable in any way, shape, or form due to his inherent abilities and his morality in wanting what's best for humanity.
That is false.
I feel like people hyperfixate on the numerous powers Superman has at his disposal and seem to ignore the fact that he does have a personality and interesting stories to tell. The fact that people actually prefer Injustice Superman over the character's true nature is just yucky, bruh. To me, it's interesting to see a guy who's as powerful as Superman go through the things the common man has to go through in everyday life. He has loving parents, he's a farm boy, he has to maintain a job at the Daily Planet. The life of the Daily Planet and Metropolis is so vibrant and unique, which makes it interesting to see how both Clark Kent and Superman interact with the people in Metropolis. As powerful as he is, he can't solve every problem or save everyone around him. One of the best examples of this is when Jonathan Kent dies from a heart attack in All-Star Superman, and you see how much it impacted Clark as a character. Superman's the type of guy you can have a heartfelt one-on-one conversation with while having a lunch break. The dual personality of Clark Kent and Superman manifests captivating stories on identity and one's desire to fit in as an outcast, considering he's a literal alien. Superman Smashes the Klan is an absolute banger of a story that tackles this notion, as it also focuses on the young Chinese girl and her family being discriminated against by the Spider-Man Lotus creative team. By a group of Klansmen, while also providing some very wholesome Superman moments and some fire artwork. I don't know about y'all, but to me at least, the idea of a man, despite being raised on Earth and growing up with human ideals and cultures, strives to invoke the best out of humanity and remains optimistic despite being able to see the conflicts and issues within humanity across the globe on a day-to-day basis. The average person with Superman's abilities would probably go insane or become a straight-up villain, only focusing on humanity's problems with worldwide conflicts and discriminatory practices seen every day, especially if you yourself would be considered an outcast as an alien born from another planet. But Clark doesn't see that. His love for humanity is so strong, he's willing to do the little things to help everyone out as best he can. Hell, he didn't even know he was an alien until a little bit later in his life. Sometimes he finds out as a child or as a preteen. That, to me, is some good storytelling. And yeah, I would like to see him, sometimes save a cat out of a tree or some corny timing. What you gonna do about it? What you trying to do?
If you guys want to look in my eyes, you guys want to do something? You guys... That's what I thought.
But hey, if your only exposure to Superman is via the DCEU Snyderverse films, man, no wonder you think Superman is boring. Now, don't get it twisted. There's nothing inherently wrong with liking Henry Cavill's depiction of Superman or how Snyder depicted the character. You could think Man of Steel is a cinematic 10 out of 10 masterpiece, and that would absolutely not affect your stance as a Superman fan in terms of how much you understand or like him. There are plenty of chill people out there who like Snyder's iteration, so that's not really the issue here. The problem lies within the Snyder cultists who mainly reside on the hellhole known as Twitter. These people really make you question if they actually like the character of Superman or any DC character that isn't Zack Snyder's version. They consistently crap on anything that makes these characters unique, like Martha Kent making Superman's suit or Batman's no-kill rule. Any DC project that isn't made by their daddy Zack Snyder is just deemed as lesser than, like the Batman movie, for example. It's pretty pathetic yet hilarious to see the restore the Snyderverse hashtags every once in a while. Like, buddy, let it go.
You've been sucking dick all day. We need to pop it out of your mouth right now.
The Snyderverse died years ago. Go watch Rebel Moon or something. The day DC Studios restores the Snyderverse is the day Isabella Merced becomes my future wife. Like, this is not gonna happen, bucko. Showing one of the Snyder goons a Superman comic book is like exposing a vampire to sunlight. They'll just skedaddle out of there as soon as possible. On another note, I find it absolutely mind-boggling that there's a section of people out there who are so heavily against the idea of trunks on a Superman suit. Like, bro, I am genuinely confused by this. The trunks are one of the most recognizable and iconic elements of any traditional Superman design. Now, no trunks aren't bad or anything. I think the Rebirth suit looks pretty good, but this distaste for trunks being implemented in live action is bizarre, with some stating how it's too goofy or wouldn't translate well. You have an alien who dresses in blue with a red cape and can fly, but having trunks on a costume is where it draws a line of being too goofy.
It don't make sense to me!
If I'm gonna keep it a buck, one of the best live action Superman suits I've had the pleasure in laying my eyes on is the Kingdom Come suit Brendan Routh wore in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event on the CW. Seriously, this suit is so damn sexy. The colors poppin' and the texture is immaculate. They high-key cook too much with this one. I also like the homage to the earlier comic appearances of Superman's design in Superman and Lois, where it was a flashback to one of Clark's first outings as Superman.
There you go, friend.
Thanks. Cool costume.
Thanks. My mom made it for me.
This is exactly what I've been waiting for. This is exactly, I don't mean to sound like Cat Williams, but this is exactly what I've been waiting for.
It's just one piece of the Superman is outdated take, which is funny because I feel like a Superman story is more important now more than ever in a modern era where everything seems so cynical and pessimistic. The MCU was able to keep Steve Rogers' morals and integrity when he was brought into the modern world, which makes for interesting storytelling as he's able to even stand up against the government if it means doing the right thing. We are Team Cap in this household. Boy, you should have seen me when he held Mjolnir in Endgame, further adding to why he's the GOAT of the Avengers in the MCU.
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
No.
If you feel as if you have to modify the character of Superman in order to appeal to a modern audience, you have already failed, and you have clearly conveyed you don't have any fundamental understanding of Clark Kent. The common person will always whine or complain about the unrealistic nature of Superman's secret identity, saying how it makes no sense people wouldn't immediately recognize Clark Kent as Superman, since all he does is just wear a pair of glasses and call it a day. On a surface level, it may sound stupid, but in all honesty, it's actually not that far-fetched that people wouldn't recognize him. Firstly, nobody in Metropolis would think Superman even has a secret identity to begin with. I mean, he doesn't wear a mask or hide any part of his face. They just take homies chilling as Superman, saving people left and right. They would never think he would willingly stoop to that level and live like them on a day-to-day basis. Secondly, his identity is more than just wearing glasses. He goes out of his way to change his body posture and composure, along with having a slightly different tone in his voice. His demeanor as Clark Kent is just completely different than that of Superman. He's more clumsy and awkward around people.
Hey, hello.
And I have the 3 dozen donuts you wanted to eat all ready to go.
No, see, it's not all for me.
But he gets the sprinkles all over.
Today's my first day of work, and
Honey, Clark is here.
Good man. Get his bibs.
What'd you say your name was again?
Kent. Clark Kent. Oh.
Never met a Clark before.
Oh. I've never met a Lois before. Lois Hannigan, so I guess technically... Oh, technically you'd be the second.
Lois, there's something I have to tell you.
I was, at first, really nervous about tonight.
I feel like some of y'all be thinking Superman just hangs out with every single person in Metropolis long enough for them to recognize his facial features. Then they run into a Clark and be like, oh my god, yeah, yo, this nigga Superman.
People ever tell you look like Superman?
No, I've never heard that before. To learn.
You're Superman.
No, and this is not Superman has perfect vision, whereas this man's in glasses.
Yeah,
What?
look.
Oh my god. I feel like such an idiot. Of course it's him.
Again, people don't think he has an identity, so there's no logical reason a random person would hyper-analyze Clark's body structure and compare it to an alien who can fly and has super strength. Sometimes Clark will wear baggier clothes to conceal his true physique. I mean, y'all ever see people with a sleeper build due to baggier clothing? It really gets on my last nerve when writers depict Superman as an idiot or severely less intelligent in order to hype up other characters like Batman, or to set up main plot threads for the story they're trying to tell. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, I'm looking at and you're stupid at. It's like they confuse Superman's strong sense of optimism with sheer stupidity and lack of critical thinking. How are you gonna willingly have peaceful negotiations with Brainiac while he pulls up to Earth in a giant skull ship, stating how you have to go in good faith because he's an alien like Clark was when he pulled up to Earth, thinking he Fred out here from Scooby-Doo, talking about something, we're in this together, gang.
I hear you both, but we have to go in good faith. What if I had come to Earth and I didn't choose how I got here, Flash? Now, I'll admit it's not the most inviting presence, but if we can avoid fighting altogether, we owe it to the people of Metropolis to try. Now let's show them our heart, our compassion,
our recklessness. We can't just leave Metropolis undefended.
We're in this together, gang.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Congratulations, Superman. Your stupidity cost the lives of millions and the entire Justice League getting mind controlled.
Not a great plan.
Clark might not have some genius level intellect, but geez, he's not an utter buffoon.
Maybe I could move the Earth out of the way. If we had a week, I couldn't list all the reasons that won't work.
The overpowered argument is always amusing to hear about since people don't take into consideration the roster of Superman's rogues gallery that consistently give him a hard time. Saying he's invincible and can't be touched is just objectively wrong. There are so many comic stories and issues where he struggles with certain adversaries. He'd be getting whooped in nearly every other comic issue. I mean, there's a long list of characters who have canonically beaten Superman or can go toe-to-toe with him. Countless Superman comics have him struggle against villains as they're able to manipulate some of his weaknesses or have characters who can give him a run for his money, like Parasite being able to absorb the life energy of others, for example. But Superman doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. He's just too powerful to be even remotely interesting.
Nigga, hush!
If you're gonna take anything away from all this, put some respect on my man Kal-El, Clark Kent, the Super Goat. Way too many of these horrendous Superman takes stem from lack of knowledge of just the simple aspects of the source material, or like the people who complain about him being too overpowered probably came to that conclusion based on death battle feats or statements from power scalers on YouTube and Reddit. He's capable of having interesting stories that involve his humanity and having a physical threat that can match him in power. The fact that a character like Captain America, who on paper wouldn't interest the general public, is as beloved as he is today, proves that it is certainly not impossible for my dog to get the love and respect he deserves.